guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode with Boss Beauty. My name is Olatejubelo if you're new, and if you've been coming on along, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for staying. I appreciate all of you guys. On today's episode, I'm gonna be following on my previous topic of should I buy my council property. Now, last time I did mention about leasehold and freehold, and I know that I didn't share a lot of information about that. I'm going to be talking about that and some other things today. Now, so when we talk about leasehold, a lot of flats are leasehold. This is nothing to do with council or no council. This is flats in general. They're usually leasehold, and that's because it could be a block of flats. It could be one that, there's a flat at the bottom and then there's a flat at the top. It could be one of those ones. As long as it's a flat, usually would be a leasehold. And what a leasehold means is that you own the building, you own the house, but you don't own the land. So it's like you're renting the land. So for that, you will be paying a ground rent or service charge, depending on, the condition or the situation of the property. Some houses are also leasehold. And in fact, one thing I like in this my journey now that I'm looking for a house to buy, a lot of the properties that I've seen that I feel like, oh, I can afford this, I can buy this, they are leasehold. And I'm thinking at a point, it got so much and overwhelming that I'm like, is it possible for an individual to actually change, the hold of their property to leasehold? That is, change it from freehold to leasehold just because they don't want to give you their land and they want to, keep getting some money back from you. And what I found out is that it is not possible to change it from freehold to lease. However, you can change from lease to freehold. And one of the reasons, or the main reasons for those properties being leasehold, especially houses, is because apparently in those olden days, in those years when we have lords of lords of lords of lords, so they would probably own a street, and then for you to actually live on that street, you're leasing a part of their street. So you're building a house there, so they own that street. So when you're buying a house or you're building a house on that street, you're building your house, but the land still belongs to them. That's why you have all this leasehold. That is, if you find a house, or it could be a block of flats, as long as it says leasehold, that's what it means. It's because it's the street probably, or the land, belonged to one of the lords previously, and now apparently there's going to be a change in the law that is scrapping the leasehold. I can't wait for that to happen, but until then, you do have leaseholds, and as long as you're buying a leasehold property, you need to pay a ground rent or you're paying service charge. So with mine, that it's a council house, I'm paying service charge. To be honest, I didn't even know any. In fact, it's not that I didn't know. I have heard, and it is in my, my property information pack, that there is a ground rent. And for some reason, I had in my head that, it was meant to be £10. But now that I'm going through the process of actually selling the property, there was a question about, are you paying ground rent? And that's when I thought, hold on, I've never paid a ground rent. Oh, maybe it's part of my service charge. And then when I looked at my bills for the service charge, there's actually no ground rent in there. So at the moment, I'm actually praying that there's no ground rent, and I've missed it because I can't remember ever paying the ground rent. And when I started paying the service charge, I actually got a letter from the council that this is what I'm going to be paying, and it's every 3 months, and I'm paying £129 for my service charge for 3 months. So that's, now I'm thinking, am I supposed to be paying ground rent? And I didn't know. And that's, if from what I saw in my application pack, it's actually £10. So if I'm supposed to be paying £10, I don't know if it's per month or per year. If it's per year, then it's okay. I'm only owing £60. And obviously, because I've missed it, they'll probably fine me or penalty or whatever. But if it's per month, please, guys, calculate it for 7 years. That's going to be a lot. So I'm praying that, that doesn't apply. Fingers crossed. So yes, that is about leasehold. And freehold is basically you own the land and you own the property. You own the house, the building as well. But just because you have a leasehold, a lot of misconception is that if you're buying a leasehold, you cannot, make changes, you cannot build conservatories or extend it. No, that's not true. You can. The only thing is you're just paying that ground rent, basically. And the ground rent is usually about £5 per annum, £10 per annum. I've seen some ridiculous ones, like 1,000, 2,000 per annum, but those are big buildings, big properties. So yes, I have seen a lot. Like my eyes, I've seen a lot that my mouth cannot even say. And I feel like my head is exploding with all of this information. That's why I'm like, I think I need to start doing series on this council property, buying a new one, reselling a council house. Those information are just too much in my head. If I don't let go, I feel like my head will just explode at a point. So yeah, that's why I'm sharing this information with you guys, and I hope it will be useful for one or few people when you watch this video. So that is that about leasehold and freehold. If you have any other question, please put it in the comment section and I'll be sure to bring it to you. Another information that I've just found out about leasehold as well is it might have some consequences when you're taking a mortgage. It's not a serious consequences. It's just that if you're buying a leasehold, of which again I didn't know this when I bought my council house until now that I'm looking for another one, and then I came across the question, are you buying so when I was doing my mortgage in principle application, and then I saw the question, are you buying a leasehold or are you buying a freehold? And I'm thinking, is that supposed to even be a thing? Like, I don't even know the house I'm buying yet. Anyway, I'm still searching and I want to know if the bank will be borrowing me money and how much they can borrow me. So now you're asking me if I'm buying a leasehold or a freehold, and I'm thinking, why does that actually matter? But yes, it does matter, and the only reason why it matters is because obviously the bank wants to make sure that you can afford what you're buying. So if you're going to be buying a leasehold, they want to make sure they put into consideration what you're going to be paying for either service charge or for ground rent. If you're buying off the market and you're buying a leasehold, I've not seen service charge with it unless you're buying a block of flats. So like you're buying an apartment that's in one of those high-rise ones, then yes, you will pay service charge. But if it's just a house on its own that is a leasehold, then you're only paying ground rent for that. So that's that. And like I said, I've only just found out that information. So it's basically just something that they need to put into consideration for when you're going to be paying, how you're going to be paying your mortgage monthly, just to make sure you can afford it. Because, for example, you're earning 30,000 per annum and they want to borrow you 150,000, but then you have to pay, for example, where I'm staying now, I'm paying service charge £129 for 3 months. If you multiply that by 4, that's about $550 per year. So it's one of the things that they would consider, that will you be able to afford that service charge as well as your mortgage, as well as other bills and other commitments that you need to pay. That's the only consequences to if you're buying leasehold. It doesn't mean that you cannot extend it. It doesn't mean you cannot build an outer building. It doesn't mean that you cannot decorate it as you like. Yes, you can. It's a misconception when it says, oh, don't buy a leasehold. You cannot change it. You cannot do whatever. Yes, you can do whatever you want with it. Because trust me, I've seen a lot of leaseholds and I'm just like, this is affordable. And if it's just because of the service charge, I'm only paying $129 for 3 months here. Why can't I buy it again? But now that I know that it affects, they put it into consideration as to how much you can borrow from the bank in terms of your mortgage, then it makes sense to run away from leasehold. But that's the only consequence that it has. So yes, until next time, I will see you again in my next video. And this is going to be a very long series, most likely until I buy my new one and after. But let's enjoy this journey together. Let's share and learn together. And please put your comments in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share with your friends. I will see you next time in my next video. Bye.